Um, the world outside of Christ is hopeless. There is no true hope that is centered in truth. And y'all heard me talk about it in 1988, December. I don't remember the exact date, but I was the trigger press away from ending my life. But I put the gun down and I hit my knees and I said, God, I need a reason not to do this. And all of the people flashed through my mind. My coworkers, my family, the this, that, these, everybody flashed through my mind. And I was like, all of that's true, but it's not enough. Because they're not here. They are not here. I need something to not do this. The vision that popped into my brain, into my mind, was a little woman sitting in a wheelchair with her hands folded across her lap. She had a long white sheet that covered her up, sitting position. She was sitting right next to an x-ray table on her right side, and she had her head down. And so I could see her hands, and I could see her from that direction. I was looking toward her, and I saw the top of her head and her hands folded, and I saw into the x-ray room, and God said, this woman is going to need you to take care of her one day because nobody will treat her like you will. And I said, okay, that's enough. And I loaded the gun back up. I dropped the hammer on it. I put it back in the scabbard, and I got up and I went into the living room and I said, y'all don't live here anymore. You got to get out because I'm not staying here, and none of you are going with me. Because the woman that was with me, your daughter, your sister, ain't here. Get out. Or pick up the lease here. So, yeah, that was what changed that day. And suicide has not been a legitimate option in my life since that day. I will not tell you that it's not a thought, because the enemy wants to steal, kill, and destroy. And he will do it by any means that he possibly can. If it's us taking our own life in a moment of enormous pain and not reaching out to God to say, Father, I need a reason not to do this. I need help right now. Because that's the cure. That's the reason to choose to push forward through the pain, in the pain, during the pain, face the pain, deal with the pain, and grow more like Christ through the pain, become more dedicated and devoted to God's will through the pain. I was talking. I'm pausing to see what I can share here. I was talking to somebody really close to me the other day, and she said, I need you to pray for me because I wake up and have woken up for the last week thinking about ending my life because this, that, and the other. And I said, cool. I said, well, let me tell you my stuff. Let me tell you, let me be real honest with you. And I told her, I said, it's not every day, but it's at least once a week or once every couple of weeks that the enemy reminds me that I could take my life if I chose to because, well, you're just not all that and blah, 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 blah. He's lying. If the enemy is talking in our ear or in our heart, in our spirit, if he's talking, we know that he is lying. You can point your finger in his face and laugh at him because he is obviously not telling you the truth because the truth is not in him. Jesus said he's the father of lies, and he lies continually. So if he's speaking, he is lying. And the 180 degrees opposite of what he is saying is the truth. And we can rejoice and just trust God and face the nonsense and get better. So I said, so it's not something that's far from me either, but I choose today to simply say no. And we both got a big laugh out of that. And she was like, "Wait, is it that simple?" I said, "Yeah, because it's a possibility. It's an option. I choose no to answer that possibility. So the answer for me today is no. I shall not allow the enemy to cause me to hinder what God's plan for my life is. I shall not. So it's very sad. What did you say the guy's name was?
His name was Jason David Frank.
It's tragic that this man of God chose a permanent solution to a temporary problem because there's always another choice. There's always another choice. Always another choice. Choose life. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Thanks for that question, Eva. 2x2 Ministries, thank you so much for that raid. How are you doing? How'd you come across our stream?
Hey, four.
I guess he's been here before. It was a month ago. Welcome back to the stream. I guess maybe it was on a Sunday that you dropped by and said hello because I don't remember the name. Whatever. So I guess I wasn't here.
Don't make me lie to you.
That's something I know that you'll never do.
What was the 24th?
I don't know. I wasn't
I'm looking.
It
10/24 was a Monday.
It was a Monday.
So it could have been a Sunday night if he's over on the other part of the planet.
It's true. Either way.
Are you from the future?
It's true. Either way, welcome back to the stream. How was your stream? What were you up to? What were you streaming? I know this weekend I hung out with a few new. When I say new, they've been streaming for a minute. I hopped in I can't remember the dude's stream, but he is a brand new streamer. So, told him good luck. It's all good. I'm always looking to find fellow Christian streamers. Well, you came to the right place.
Here we are.
This is what we do.
Urn, Phred.
Well, he's here a month ago. I'm sure he probably remembers, maybe. At some point tonight, we're going to be talking about Jason David Frank. And I guess maybe we should just get into it anyways, because the thing about it for me was, last night it was about 12:30 our time over here in Texas, and I saw his name trending on Twitter. And usually, lately, if somebody's name's trending on Twitter, it's not necessarily a bad thing. So I was like, let me see what this dude is, trending for. Maybe he said something, and they're finally going after him for his Christianity. And then people were saying, "Oh, rip," Jason David Frank, Green Ranger, blah, blah, but there was no, TMZ is normally really quick about making those sorts of announcements just before anybody. So I stayed up to 2 o'clock in the morning waiting for some sort of update on this dude because I had the pleasure of meeting him twice in my, or I've met him twice in my life, and then I've seen him at several different Comic Cons. The two times I got to meet the guy was at MMA conventions because about 10 years ago he went on a run on MMA, and so he showed up a couple of MMA conventions, and he was the Green Ranger, so people didn't look at him as like legitimate. But a he also started a clothing line called Jesus Didn't Tap. Right, Jesus didn't tap on the cross, so our sins could be forgiven. Right, so he was both times that I met him, and I posted a picture. Let me pull it up on Twitter so you guys can see that this picture that I'm pulling up is the very first time I met him, and he was just standing there because he was at an MMA convention. What is an actor doing in a MMA convention, right? So so essentially, like that's when I met him the first time. You can see his hat. It says Jesus didn't tap on it. You could see his forearm where he has it up in the air. He had it tattooed on his forearm, and so we got to talk about the things of God then, right at that moment, and then the next year. For some reason, we didn't take a picture the next year, but that was the very first UFC. Fight Week, International Fight Week. It's a convention that they had. It was the very first one, and then my friend my friend Joseph and I went back the following year to the second one, and he was there again, and we got to chit chat again. So like both times that I met him, he was super nice. We talked about MMA stuff, a little bit about Power Rangers, but a lot more about Bible stuff. So I got to speak with him on those sorts of things, and then it's funny you see him go from this world of MMA where nobody cares who he is, and then a couple months later he's at Dallas Comic Con. He's standing on a table surrounded by just people that are just there specifically for him, just charging up the crowd, being like, "Hey everybody, blah blah blah." So like when I say that this dude was loved, he is loved big time. So I saw him. I saw him at a couple of other cons, and I was waiting in line to take a picture with a lady from Battlestar Galactica, and he came walking by, just randomly, just walking by, shaking people's hands. It was so just being him. So it's very interesting. So the reason why I bring all that up, those are my experiences with him. What's up, Ruticus? Those are my experiences with the guy. And when you look at the way that people talk about this guy and the way that he handled himself, like like we were saying just a little bit ago, like from the world perspective and even from our perspective, he had everything. So like, from like, if you go back, cause you can go back through his Facebook if you want to, but like during COVID, he was helping out with local churches. He was doing food drives and doing signings at churches to get people to bring food. Like if you brought like cans of food, then he would sign whatever you want him to sign. The brick and mortar comic book stores have a hard time getting people to show up. So he did a comic book store tour around the country, just helping out local comic book shops just to get people indoors, right?
Yeah.
So and again, he wasn't, to my knowledge, based off of everything that I saw of him, he didn't shy away from the gospel stuff at all, because he posted himself, "Hey, come to so and so church. We're doing a food drive, and I'm signing stuff. You bring food, I'll sign stuff." So he didn't shy away from it.
Right.
And then there are some kid stars that when they get away from a specific project, they never want to talk about it. They never want to go back to it. This dude embraced being a Power Ranger. He went back to the show like several times. He started out as a Green Ranger. The Green Ranger lost his powers, and then he came back as a White Ranger, and then I think he was a Red Ranger at one point. I think he's a Blue Ranger, and then I think ultimately he was a Black Ranger. I think were all of the colors of the Rangers that he was. So he didn't just get away from it and then run away. He embraced the culture. It was fun watching him on social media. So from the standpoint of him being out there and open, and then now go in this direction, kind of like what we said earlier, as far as like now you introduce you introduce suicide into the realm.
Do we know it was suicide?
That's what TMZ said. So is it? I don't know. I'm just going off of what is out there, because I haven't looked it up for the rest of today. But as soon as TMZ reported it, I just took it at that.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was waiting on. I was waiting on that right there. What you're looking at right there, just the flow of news sites, right, to say that he was dead, because Twitter is a crazy place, right?
Yeah.
So you don't know if what's being reported is true or not. So, like, how not to lose, Bruticus says lots of news sources say suicide.
Well,
And
the only one I see right now is TMZ says suicide.
that's
9 hours ago, 8 hours ago.
Well, yeah, but
7 hours ago.
But you're looking at just the headline. You're not looking at the actual articles. But ultimately, what it boils down to, the reason why I wanted to come in here and talk about this, because I do think it's important, because you can see in the world of Christian Twitter that there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of depression, and when you have someone that claims Christ and that is in the forefront of the camera, and he's loved by so many people, the introduction of that word into people's vernacular and is something that I think needs to be addressed. And you kind of were talking about it just a second ago, Fred, when you said that people just don't know, right? Because, like I said, like we were talking about, this guy's loved all around the world. Like, we don't know how many celebrities can you name that are loved by people all around the world. You had Robin Williams, who committed suicide. He was generally loved by everybody.
Yep.
And then you have Jason David Frank.
Yep.
So it's definitely interesting, because, like, we don't know what he was going through. I know that there was an article from August that said that his wife filed for divorce from him and claims that he cheated on her, and that could have been the match that started the fire. Not her committing, not her filing, but just the fact that he cheated on her and he couldn't get over the guilt, or because when infidelity is, and he's got 4 kids, so when you introduce infidelity into it, then there's a lot of pain. So especially from the kids' perspective. So that could have been the match that ignited to where he felt like there was nowhere else to go.
Yep.
So
sucks.
Yeah. Tyler's in the house. What's up, Tyler?
You.
Tyler, welcome to the stream. So, I don't know. I just wanted to make sure that we throw it out there to the community. I've said it on Twitter a lot that, if you guys, need anything from us, reach out to us. Definitely suicide is not the answer for anything. Fred said it. He said it's a long-term fix for a short-term problem.
Yep.
So something that definitely needs to be avoided. And